do that today though, if that's okay.
Sorry, I needed to start. We're actually discussing something that is important that someone can go back to. So how we usually do it is it's actually like the job of the people that wrote the code to make sure it's merged. So it's your job to like ping everyone that's supposed to approve it. In this case, the other pair. And then if they approve it or if they leave you a message, a comment to like update something, you update it, ping them again that you've solved what they raised, you know. And then when they now look at it again and they're like, okay, this works for me, the other pair will also be like, this works for me, and they approve. But there is a little approval button because I noticed them left a message which seems to be an approval, but you didn't really like use that approval. I think you used comment. You used comment.
I used viewed, I think.
I mean did them when they are commenting on your branch because they are supposed the other
Oh,
pair is supposed to review your PR. Do you know what I mean? They're supposed to review your PR and then you're supposed to review theirs. But I noticed when them commented on Becca's PR, she left a message, but she didn't approve the PR. Even though I think the from your message, it seems you like the PR, you didn't need them to make any changes, but you didn't like actually approve it. So that was what I was kind of waiting for. So it was the job of the pair that worked on the PR to like ping them, hey, did them I noticed you left off the message, but you didn't approve the PR. Is the PR okay with you? Do we go ahead to tag the mentor? That kind of thing. And then when they give their okay, it's also your job to tag the mentor, in this case me, to the PR, that the other pair has signed off on it. Please have a look. And then I'll look and then sign off on it too. And then it's also your job as the people that worked on the code to also come back to merge, to merge your own
okay.
PR. Here we merge our own PR. If you work on it, you're going to be the one that will merge it. So that's why it's kind of your responsibility to make sure that all those steps are achieved so that you can merge. Like it's kind of holding you up from merging your code into the main branch, that sort of thing. Yeah. But I kind of understand that you said ever traveled, so that kind of makes sense because I was throughout yesterday and today I was expecting someone to think, hey, Chamaka, our PR is ready for review, that kind of thing, but I never got it, but it's okay. We also understand the peculiarity of this week, you coming in
Mhm.
to join the pair, so that's really fine. Um, yeah, but that's it though. We hope that this week is going to be a lot easier on everyone. We're all starting together. It gets better from now. So yeah, good job, everyone. So yeah, I'm going to pass it
Thanks.
on to Viviana now. So I should coordinate the demo and then we start the meeting. Okay.
Sure, thank you. So I guess, Didem, you can start by doing your issue. And so we wait a bit forever. And then we pass to the other issue. I guess we can also, Becca can demo the issue from their local setting if as it is not merged. Yes.
Okay, I'm starting now. Can I share the screen? I guess I can share. Yes. And yeah, so 1 second. This room tag is here. I don't like to see it. Yeah. So this is my issue. Here, as a user, I want to set up a new shopping list so I can start tracking purchased items. So we divided our works as a UI-related task and data-related task. So I focused on data-related task first, and Tata focused on UI-related task. Actually, it is my question to our mentors, to you guys. So is it the correct way to make this job UI-related task or data-related tasks, or we can maybe work these two and these two like this? So we was not sure. Maybe you can explain later on, but yeah.
How you approach a task is usually 100% your jurisdiction actually. Like
Mhm.
however you want to do it. You can even choose to do it together on a call,
Mhm.
like you do the UI, you do the data together. You can choose to share it, however you want to approach it, 100%. We just want to see a finished something
Oh,
where
okay.
both of you participated and you got
Okay.
along. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, one thing I think is important to have in mind is that at the last of the project, we have like 2 weeks that are addressed to the styling and the refining the UI of the project.
Oh, it was
So
also my question. Yeah.
I suggest that you don't spend so much time in writing CSS and writing like styling, because at the end of the project, we will be covering that.
Yeah, okay. And so this is the main thing is create a new list. So when I come to here, so we made a list name input and label and button here. So if you click, for example, fruit list, fruit. So if you click create list, you already navigate here. Also, I will mention something here when I explain the codes. Then if you come to home page, you will see fruits already here. So I want to explain the codes part. So here backends, the file I will explain. So I import create list how can I say function. I imported from API Firebase. It's already made by Collab. It was default, so it is in this Firebase.js. Then export function home, I pass the set list path, user ID, and user email, because I need to use user ID and user email to create a list. User should logged in. So I set I use state function here to create list name and to create message. These are our states. So I used also navigate, const navigate, use navigate method to call the redirect to the other pages. I defined the navigate here. Then I need to mention something to handle the button in the UI. So I defined handle create list button here. Then I used async method to how can I explain this? Async is the using asynchronous method because we are using API, so it is easier to follow this API. So e.prevent default, I made it because this method is the prevents the form submission behavior like page reload. So we need to use this one, event.prevent default. Then if there is no, I use this if here, because if there is no list name, you need to see a message, enter a list name. Then here, try a catch method. You will see that because this is easier to follow some errors, which errors here. So if there is an error here, you need to follow this error if you use try catch method, or you can use .then something, but this is the easier way to use to catch the errors. So here await create list, I called this function from database. This is a connection with our database Firebase. So I passed user ID and user email list name because it's from my issue list. This is my requirement. So if there is everything is okay, you will see set message, new list successfully created. So my function is working. Then if everything is working, I defined here create list path. So I need to use this path, as far as I understand. But I have a question here. I'm navigated here /list, but should I navigate / create list path? Am I right? Or no need to create this? Because it's navigate /list. It should navigate here. I need to mention this one.
So the list part that you're setting in line 24 is going to the local storage. If you open your local storage, you would have seen like we have the ID, then / the name of the list. You know, you have a list of list on your homepage, different lists, like you can create different lists. So that's how we use to track which particular list you're viewing. So you can have grocery, for example, detergent or clothing or whatever. So you can click on clothing and then go into the list view to see every item under clothing. And then you can also leave clothing and go into grocery. So how we know which particular list you're visiting is this list part. So it's different from the navigation, the one in the browser. So this is actually like the correct way to do it.
Okay, yeah. And okay, navigate to list. Then if there is an error, you will see a set message, failed to create list, please try again. And then here return, you will see the UI based. So here, this is a Tatav part. So form on submit, we are using, if there is a form, you need to use on submit method. So it's triggered handle create list button here. So it's calling my function. So label and input, you will see as a label list name. And input, there is everything is here what we want. So placeholder, enter name of your list, and value, it's passing list name here, and also it's triggered this on change method, set list name. So it is button. So if there is something successfully, it's we are using message here. So that's all for my part about our
Thank
issue.
you, Didem. You did a great work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
I really like that you use this try catch block to await for the Firestorm function. So that is pretty cool. So thank you. I guess we can continue with the other issue when you are ready.
Sharing. Yeah, thank you so much.
Anyone has any question related to the implementation that Didem done?
I wanted to ask, oh, hi, Eva. I wanted to ask them, how do you, because it took me quite some time to figure out how to make sure that the action, the submission worked with an enter key. It drove me insane for a couple of hours. It turns out that you have to have selected, at least I think that's how React is set up, that whatever input you have selected, if you click enter, then it, you know, the on submit is triggered.
It was a good question, but
Do you mean what part of their code is doing that?
If I didn't see any part of the code that was doing that expressly, or maybe I missed it.
So if they used a button and the button is highlighted, it's actually like, that's one of the things we're going to do today in accessibility, to actually submit automatically. Like they call it semantic HTML.
yeah, this type submit, it was because of maybe this, if it is submit, it's already from default, I guess. But we didn't make any additional thing for enter something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Eva, do you wanna chime in?
I from what I've seen, the little bit of the code, I don't have any questions. But I think the we talked about it that the form by default, if the if the button is type submit, it will enter the information. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it drove me insane for a while there.
Oh, sorry about that. But
Okay.
nowadays
It's a
they
lesson I will
actually
never
try
forget.
to make it possible for you to achieve more with less code. So some of these things are built in HTML. Like all you have to do is just use a button and it will function like a button, you know. Just use a link and it will function like a link. You don't have to do anything else.
Cool.
So if there are no more questions, we can continue with the next issue. I guess as UPR is not merged, you can maybe do the demo from your local settings.
Yeah, for sure.
Just before the demo, Eva, before you came, I was kind of asking Becca why you guys were not able to get to merging your PR. But she said you traveled and then probably that would have delayed things. So how did it go with you generally the week and then leading up to making the PR, assessing the other pairs PR, merging, all of that? How did it go for you?
I think it went pretty good. I mean, we had a little bit of delay because we had to set Becca like up for like to just quickly explain and introduce like the project. So we spent like the first day, I guess, at least Tuesday, we just talked about that, and I helped out with setting up the project. But then we actually ended up finishing our issue. I think it was on Friday when we had like all the tasks done. And we also did on Friday, we reviewed the other pull requests together and yeah, submitted the branch. I think it would have been faster if we were able to start a bit earlier, but it wasn't so bad.
Okay.
We managed to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I was also explaining to her that the process from when you raise your PR to when your PR gets merged is also the responsibility of the people that worked on the PR, you know, so it's kind of your responsibility to like ping everyone that is supposed to approve your PR, like, hey, you've not, I tagged you on GitHub, please, are you able to review it? You know, if it's the other way, address whatever comment they have, push it back, tag them again, see, I've worked on it, please let me know what you think. And then when your teammates sign off on it, it's also your job to also go back to GitHub and then tag the mentor that is supposed to review, in this case me, you know.
Yeah.
And then I would have gotten a notification like, okay, this PR is ready for review, for the mentor's review, and then I'll go and review it. Then when I review and approve, it's also you that will go back to GitHub and then merge. So the whole process of seeing your ticket from the first step, which is working on it, writing the code, and then to the point where it's merged to main, it's actually 100% the responsibility of the people that worked on it, you know? So it's not left for you to like ping everyone that is blocking you from doing that ultimately, which is merging it, you know? So that's kind of the process.
Yeah, okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, but all in all, it was a good week, as I said, you know, considering everything. So well done, guys. Yeah, you can do your presentation from the local host. Then from next week, we'll start with the production link.
I can share my screen if that's okay with everyone.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, sorry, my system is having a little bit of an issue right now I have to give permissions.
Oh, is it asking for permission?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm on that. Well, how was Didem able to share hers? Oh, okay.
Okay. Should I first share the issue?
So one person is supposed to show the issue and then the demonstration in browser, then the other person can do the code. Anyhow you want to do it.
So the way we went about it was first we sort of made sure that we both understood more or less the issues, the requirements of the issue. That had a lot to do with onboarding me into this, and we basically went from top to bottom. We mostly pair coded throughout the week, except for Ifa's contributions, which she was able to do on her own. So the task was to make sure that the user was able to add items to the list and to add how soon they might be needing to buy that particular um, item again. Right, we added the label, the enter key, which was a hard lesson. And to make sure that the item was added to the database as well. And yeah, so that meant making sure that the add item function was, yeah, so we replaced it. I don't know if we replaced it, but we made additions so that would be that, so that a new sort of like document was added to the API, along with how soon that item might need to be repurchased. So what that looks like in the code. Eva, do you wanna
Yeah.
take it over, or should I go ahead?
I can talk the code if you want me to. Yeah. So in the manage list, you can see that first we imported the add item from the Firebase, which handles the backend to adding the document into the database. Then here we set up a state for form data where we save both the name of the item and the next purchase estimate. And then we have down at the bottom, we return a form. If you scroll a bit down, yeah, those are these two inputs. We made sure that it's semantically labeled. So when you click on the label, it focuses inside the input. And here, yeah, we have the other option, the select with 3 options. And we made sure that it correctly saves the value of the days for each of the option. And then if you scroll a bit up again, yeah, we have first we have the function handle change, which basically handles saving the input from the form into the state, into the form data state. And then we have the handle submit function that handles submitting the form and sending the data to database. Yeah, so first, because the default forms is to refresh the whole window, so we have to do the prevent default method. And then here, the second line, we basically pull data from the name and next purchase from the state object. And then, yeah, here we have like a small error message set up that if the user doesn't fill out one or both of the fields, they will get like a warning that they should fill out all the fields. And then, yeah, and then we just run the function that adds the item to the database. And we here, we had to, in the add item, we had to make sure that we just pass the correct arguments, which was the list path and also those two, the item name and the next purchase date. And we also set up a message here that informs the user that the item was successfully added to the database. And then at the end, we also, make the form empty again, so it doesn't stay the data there. We also have an error message here set up if something goes wrong and it doesn't get added to the database. And then if you go to the Firebase file, yes, so I think it's a bit down, the add item. Yeah, it's there. So here we just had to make sure to use the correct Firebase Firestore method, which was the add doc method that's used for adding documents. This one is specifically also used for when we want to add a document and we need the database to generate ID for it. And so the first argument is basically the reference to the collection. And the second argument is just the data that we want to save in the document. And here, for example, for the date next purchased, here is this uses the utility function get future date. And yeah, it takes in the number of days that the user input in the form. And I think it returns a date, like an estimate when it's going to be purchased again. We also had to make sure, I think in the app, the JSX, we had to, that also wasn't there, we had to in the manage list element, we had to also input the list path because it wasn't there before. And I think initially we just hard coded in the manage list component, we hard coded first the value, and then in order to make it dynamic, we had to pass this value from app component. And I think that's like the whole scope of the issue, probably.
Maybe I can share.
Mhm.
That this was our testing. That's basically what it does.
Cool, great work. Your feature works well, so great work there. Thank you. Anyone has any question related to this issue?
No, not really a question, but like kudos to them, the pair, because especially Eva, initially it was just her trying to like look around, work, and then Becca came on board and then they were able to like do it very well. And I just found out that the add doc function was not even there. It was you guys that wrote it. So that's really cool because initially when you start working with, I don't know if you worked with Firebase before, well, that's usually like confusing the functions for adding items in Firebase database. So for you to just like do that pretty straightforward, and then you're able to like make a PR and it works. I looked at it. That's really kudos to you guys. And it's so beautiful to watch that you bring all your A game and everything is moving well. So yeah, super exciting. Well done, guys.
Yeah, I wanted to I definitely wanted to shout out Ifa because she really put up so much work this week, especially bringing me in and giving me tips. She recommended a good refresher, a good React refresher that made all the difference for me, and it made it easier for me to at least make a little contribution here and there. But the bulk of this code is definitely Ifa's doing, and she has been an amazing partner this week. So kudos to her.
Thank you. I also want to say that it was really nice of Becca that she really showed up every time. She was also a lot flexible with her time, and I would say she also contributed a lot, and I think what helped us the most that we were able to talk it out a lot. So we spent a lot of time talking, and then we would show up the other day and realize that what we didn't understand, we actually, it wasn't as difficult. So I think it was really nice for both of us.
Yeah. That was the first thing I noticed about Becca. She shows up. Just tell her the time and the place. She's there. That's so nice. All right. So we're going to quickly,
sleeping. Sorry.
yeah, it's okay. We're going to quickly go through the learning module. This is actually going to be our first learning module. It was supposed to be during the office hours though, but we ended up doing that async. So today we are just going to do this accessibility, which is really an important topic in tech. You know, it's not as popular, but government agencies are really like trying to make that very important and make it a prerequisite, basically like enforce it to different applications so that you don't even launch applications if it's not accessible, just so that you accommodate every other person that has impairment or that is disabled, you know. So it's really, really important to consider, which is why we also take it seriously at the Collab Lab. Yeah, so we're going to go through accessibility, what, why, and how, the Collab Lab. So sometimes it's usually represented like this. Like when you see this anywhere, it also means accessibility. Exactly the same thing. So this is like the short form, yeah. So anyway, you see, this is it. That's what it means. So for what? Accessibility, web accessibility is the inclusive practice of ensuring there are no barriers that prevent interaction or access to websites on the www by people with physical disabilities, situational disabilities, socioeconomic restrictions on bandwidth and speed. So basically making sure that everybody, no matter your background, no matter your situation, you're able to still access the web, just like everyone else who have all those things. That's basically it in one line. So when websites are correctly designed and developed and edited, generally all users have equal access to information and functionality. And that's basically what accessibility is. Your website should be able to be accessible to everyone. So some people with disabilities access websites using ATs. These includes screen readers, screen magnifiers, speech to text, and other detection software, assistive keyboards, refreshable braille displays, and then many other tools. While screen readers are more widely used than other ATs, it's important to not equate AT with screen reader. That's very important. Like it's not only, there are so many assistive technologies out there, and it's not just the screen reader. So there are the popular ones, you know, like the voice over on Mac, the talkback on Android. And then there's also why accessibility is important. Number one is simply it's the right thing to do. Obviously, you want everyone to be able to access your software without discriminating. Yeah, so the web provides access to not only information, but to work, play, community, and essential lifestyle. So everyone deserves to have access to that. Then secondly, you may be legally obligated, which is what I said earlier, like government agencies are now getting involved and trying to make sure that everyone makes their software accessible. Thirdly, more people in the US access websites with assistive technology than live in Canada. Okay, so the estimate's like 20% of site visitors have some sort of disabilities, 20%. Wow. So when you don't make your website accessible, you're basically cutting off 20% of everyone that should be there. So making your pages more accessible for people with disabilities, make them more accessible for everyone. There's also the why too. So these are the different the different disabilities, you know, that people can have that might prevent them from accessing your website. the normal way that they are supposed to do it. So there is the touch. They probably have one arm, maybe that permanently or temporarily. It could be an arm injury. It could be that they are just at that moment where they're accessing your website, they are just not disposed to use their two hands, probably a new parent, or the other hand is occupied, something like that. So it could also be that they can't read your website. They are not able to. Maybe they have cataract temporarily, or maybe it's a distracted driver. They can't be looking at the screen and then also looking on the road. So at that moment, they need to like have an alternative way of also being able to access the website while not looking on the screen. So there's also the hearing. Probably they're not able to hear. Probably in the case of a video, audio. And then there's also the speak, So these are the different ways that people can be disenfranchised from being able to access the website the normal way, quote unquote. And then how are the different ways you can be able to improve accessibility? The first one is semantic HTML, which is what we talked about earlier, So as HTML evolved over the years, they made sure to like inculcate these accessibility options inbuilt, so you don't have to like write extra code for them. So simply by using button, or by using, probably there is one example that I experienced at work probably last 2 weeks or last week or so, where you're able to like right click and then you open in a new tab, or when you're trying to use the keyboard to navigate on the screen. And then I noticed that one of the links, the keyboard was not hovering on it. It was not like it was supposed to like do that. So it made me to wonder like what's going on here. This is a link. I should be able to use my keyboard to navigate and then use escape to like hover around. And when I click enter, you should click on that link. And then when I went to the code, it's a legacy application, like very old code base. I saw that the developer used div to write the link. So a div is not a link. There is the li, there is the anchor tag, and then there is the button for links, So when you use div, first of all, screen readers is not going to recognize it as a link because they are seeing a div underneath, or a paragraph. If you use like a peak tag, it's still the same thing. It's not a paragraph, it's a link. So that's a perfect example of you're not able to like navigate this and then view it as a link because they're not using a link HTML semantic underneath, That's a perfect example. So ensure that you use the appropriate HTML for the appropriate thing you have in mind. If you want a link, use the li, use the anchor tag, If you want a button, a clickable, like interactive part or piece of UI, then use the button so that the user will know that you're supposed to click this, so that a screen reader will know that you're supposed to click this, That's just an example. And then the second one is always include, yeah, Becca, sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was wondering if people in the room who have more experience than I have encountered resistance from the organizations that they work in to implement accessibility features, because from what I get through friends or colleagues from the field is that there's a great deal, at least here in Germany, there's like getting the app out or like deployment is oftentimes prioritized over accessibility. And maybe it's not the right time to ask this question, but I would be curious as to what the experience has been for people in the room.
It's actually 100% accurate what you just said, because especially for startups, when they are really like at the very beginning of the business, of the project, they are all about getting it into the market. They are really not thinking about the best practice. Sometimes they don't even write code unit tests. They don't even write integration tests. They just want to get it in the market. So that's why, first of all, the governments are getting involved. And that's why also you see these being like so much in play in big companies, so to say. You know, that's where you actually like find them in big like Google, Microsoft, you know, big firms, which is not supposed to be, you know. So it's a new area in tech. It's an area in tech where people are actually like there are advocacies for these things. Like people are actually like trying to appeal to others. Like, guys, you don't need to push this back to when you blow or when you're so big to start doing this. You can actually start doing it from now. And it doesn't really take anything. Like this semantic HTML, if you use semantic HTML throughout your code, you've done like 80% or even 70% of what you need to do when it comes to accessibility. You know, the other ones are just like color, contrast, you know, area label and alt, you know, and the other ones, they're in the minority. But companies put it out a lot and then push it back to like when they launch, when they have a lot of customers, when they actually have need for it, which is not supposed to be. So yeah, it's not just for you, it's not just Germany, it's actually the whole world. It's the tech companies everywhere, you know. So that's usually the normal thing, which is why we need rules and laws, you know. It needs to be serious before people take it seriously. From what I gather, that's just it. Yeah. So secondly, we have the alt, the attributes, you know. This one it's also being enforced because if you write an image tag and you don't put the attribute, you can't even like it will underline it. You know, so that's also a way of enforcing it. And then there's area labels, ensure all contents are reachable via the keyboard, you know, which is something we talked about, using the links. We are supposed to use the links, use the button. We are supposed to use the button so that if I just use my keyboard, I'm able to go over all those pieces of UIs, you know, and they work the way they are supposed to work. Then ensure all interactive elements have reasonable target sizes. Obviously, that's where design comes in. But when it comes to this one, the size, the color, the contrast, everything, you know, it's also good to like design very well because some colors don't go together, you know. And for people that have color blindness, you can use some colors in your website and they're not even able to see. Imagine using black and brown, you know, there is not enough contrast to know that, okay, this is a black background, but there's a brown text, can't really see the text. So they're all part of accessibility because not everyone has a sharp eye to like spot, you know, the little things. So that's really how, as you can see from this list, it's really not hard. It's really not hard. It's just like an extra second, you know, from what you usually do, and then you get everything up and running. So that's why people really need to like pay attention to these things. And then Becca, on your own, if you can also have the opportunities like just do it by the side, you know, probably before you make your PR, just like, you know, yeah. It's really be nice to go a long way. At least when someone is viewing that particular page you worked on, it will all be good for them. Yeah. I think I skipped a page. Okay. So what's ARIA? ARIA stands for Accessible Rich Internet Application. It's a technical specification by the W3C, the people who write the HTML specification. You can add ARIA to your HTML to have better control over accessibility. Then misusing ARIA can introduce problems for AT users. Try to use HTML to the best of your ability, then add ARIA when you've reached the limit of HTML. So a perfect example of this would be like adding ARIA label as a way that if, again, I've also had an opportunity and an experience with that at work. I think it was a div too that someone at work was trying to turn into a button. And then they used, was it ARIA type of button or something like that? So there's a way you can use a div but turn it into a button. And which is why here, this second line, they're saying, don't use a div and try to turn it into a button when you can use a button straight away, you know? So except in situations where you can actually use the correct HTML and then use the other one, then use ARIA label to correct it, that kind of thing. You know, these are just the different options, you know, that you can use to achieve accessibility for your software. And then how do we use ARIA? Okay, this is what I just did. I just said right now. We have the button, row, switch, then ARIA checked, through. So ARIA checked is when a screen reader is hovering over this button, this ARIA checked is going to tell them that this button is checked through. It's different from the checked attribute of a button. You know, this one is just, it doesn't have a functional use, but it has an accessibility use. It's strictly for accessibility. I don't know if you guys understand. So this is going to tell the screen reader that yes, this button is actually checked. And that's how ARIA works. That gives more information on the particular HTML in question. Yeah. How do we not use ARIA? Again, exactly what I said. So if you can see here, this is a div, but they're trying to turn it into a button. So why not just use button directly, you know? So it has some overlap with HTML. The following two elements are equivalent from the perspective of an AT user. So we have a button and then we have a div turned into a button. But when you use HTML to make a button, the browser bundles in other things. It provides CSS to make the button look like a button. It allows the user to click the button with a space and enter keys, you know. So try as much as possible to use the HTML that is provided for your use case and not try to turn other HTML into other roles, you know. So how do we identify accessibility issues for remediation? So there are automated tools such as AXE, but it only finds 30% of the issues. So I'm going to share this. So if you guys want to try out, you have a website you want to test, you can run it by these tools. So there's also the guided audits such as those built into Accessibility Insights. And Chrome actually has its own inbuilt. I think they call it the Lighthouse. Testing directly using assistive technology, so that screen readers, audits by accessibility testers by companies such as this, and then feedback from real users with accessibility. Yeah, I think Chrome has Lighthouse. Can I go? Okay. Yeah, Lighthouse here. See, Lighthouse. Next up, then generate a Lighthouse report. There may be stored data affecting blah, blah, blah. I've forgotten how to use it. Is it Lighthouse? I have to be sure. Viviana, do you remember? I think it's Lighthouse. The inbuilt.
Yeah, it is. I have this like as a extension, as a Chrome extension.
Oh, what's the name?
It's Lighthouse.
Oh, you have the
But I
extension.
have, yeah, it is. Yes.
Okay,
And
so
you can
a
like
button here.
analyze any site for performance,
Yeah.
etc., and accessibility.
Accessibility, yeah. I've seen the button. So if you like want to access a page, you can just go to that page, then open the Chrome DevTools, click Lighthouse, then analyze the page. So you can just like do it to assess the performance for you, tell you which parts of the application is not so accessible. Let's see what the result is going to be for this one. Very slow. Okay, there goes my result. So I'm going to scroll down to accessibility to improve the accessibility of your web page. Automatic detection can only detect. So there are so many recommendations here telling you what you're not doing right and then what you can improve on. There's also the area, you know, and then there's names and labels, you know. So there are, as she said, there are extensions, Chrome extensions to do these things. There are inbuilt ones in the Chrome DevTools. There are other tools here. So many things actually that can help you to know how your website is doing accessibility wise, and then it's always good to like take advantage of those. Yeah, Becca.
All right, thanks. So I know for development, Chrome is the preferred browser. However, I work with Firefox for privacy purposes, and I wanted to ask if there are any known equivalents of Lighthouse to Firefox.
Mm.
I'm generally very happy with it, to be completely honest, in my diaper level of development.
Yeah, I don't even have Lighthouse in my. I don't even have. There is no
I
equivalent
mean,
of
this is what I
Firefox.
found, but I'm
Oh,
not sure it's like a tool like that.
yeah, they're saying there is none. There is none. It's very popular among web developers. Unfortunately, there's no. So how can you? And this is Mozilla saying this. How can you confidently tell me there is no equivalent for Wi-Fi? What are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? Anyway,
Well, I
yeah.
found
So you can does Firefox have? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I see you can add it as an extension. Let me send this to you. You can add Lighthouse as an extension. Um, so it doesn't come inbuilt, but you can add it here. I think that pretty
cool.
much helps. Like it does the accessibility assessment the same way as you can see from the screenshot. So yeah, that makes sense that you can add that. Yeah, does
Awesome,
anyone have
thanks.
any other question? It's actually like an interesting area that I think people should just like pay attention to help everybody in the whole world. Does anyone have any other question? All right. Yeah, that's it for my presentation. We're going to finish up with issues now. Vivian.
Yeah, let me share the screen for the issues.
While you share, Eva and Becca, whenever you get the chance, you can merge your PR. It works as we saw today. So just like merge it and then you can pull and start your new task. Thank you.
Becca, do you want to merge it or should I do it? Me? Or you? Me, you, okay, sorry. You, yeah.
Okay, let's start
No,
with
I'll do
issue
it.
6. So as a user, I want to be able to invite others to an existing shopping list. So we want to allow users to invite others to existing shopping lists so they can manage them with friends or family. This would take the following steps. User enters an existing user's mail into a form, and the share list function is API Firebase JS is called with the appropriate inputs. So here, note that an existing user is a user that is already synced into the app. The acceptance criteria for the issue is that the managed list view shows a form that allows the users enter an email to invite existing users to a list. So just with the other form that we already have there. So the input accept the email has a semantic label. The user can submit this form with the mouse and the enter key. And if the other user exists, the user is alerted that the list was shared. And if the other user does not exist, the user is shown an error message that explains the problem. Here the same, you will know that your label is correctly implemented if you click on the label and the input is focused. And then just a second. Okay, so and then sorry, users will be okay. Here's some more info to make sure you are in the right path working on the issue. Like, and here a hint that you may need to check the share list function in the Firebase.js to get an idea of how you will know if a list was shared. So I don't know if there is any question related to this user. So this is issue for Eva and Didem for this week. Yeah, Becca.
I'm sorry, I mean, maybe this doesn't concern me anymore, but I'm not sure that I understood the last 2 points in the notes.
Here in the notes,
the users will be able to submit the form with enter key. Okay. The one key down listener anywhere. Okay, you might be overcomplicating things. So what I did this week,
yeah, I think it is related
over engineering is my jam.
Yeah.
And check the share list function. Okay, so that's kind of like a hint. Right, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Let's continue with issue 7 then. So as a user, I want to filter my shopping list to make it easier to locate an item in the list. Allowing users to search through their list will help them cut down the clutter and focus on items they are looking for. So the acceptance criteria is that a form is added to the top of the list view above the shopping list name, I guess. Yeah. So the form includes the following elements: a label, again, which narrows down the list as the user types, and when there's a text in the field, some kind of button like an X to clear the field, and when the field is cleared, the list is reset to its unfiltered state. So same for the other issue, you will know the label is correctly implemented if you click on the label and the focus move to the related input. And this is important, the filter text should match any part of the item name. Like if the same, it should not only match from the start of the string. So any part of any combination of letters that is in the item's name. So any question related to this issue? Okay, I will stop sharing then.
Yeah. Is there any other question, comments, anything we forget? Okay. Yeah, that's it then. Thank you guys for coming today. We are really progressing well. I and Vivian are super happy with how you guys are going. We can't even lie. Like your motivation is making us motivated to show up for you every day. So please chat us on Slack if you need anything. We're always there. We are peeping Slack every day to find out if you need our help, you know. And we're also excited to see how this whole thing progresses. You know, we started really well, and I know we're going to finish really well. Yeah, so also remember to close your issues when you're done with them so that it doesn't like be there, so I will know which ones that are still open. Aside from that, we are super proud of you guys and we look forward to what you achieved this week. So bye. If there's anything, let us know. Okay, Becca, yeah. What's up?
I'm sorry, I don't want to be annoying. Can you remind me how to close an issue on GitHub?
I mean, there is the automatic way to do it. Give me a second.
I am in Malaysia. I can share my screen if you wish.
Okay. I already opened it. I know that. Let me see the PR that is still open. Issue closes. Okay, so for this particular PR, if you merge this PR, it will close issue 5 automatically.
Okay.
It will close, but for Didem's PR, you didn't close there, so it means they didn't do the. Oh, you didn't include closes. So if you attach closes issue 4, it would have closed automatically, which is why your issue is still open here.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of inbuilt into the PR process. But if it didn't close, there's also a button here to close. Let me just help them and close this one, which is here. So it's already merged. We're going to close this issue now. And it's closed. It will disappear from here. That's how we know what we've worked on and what we've not worked on. Yeah. So that's it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I'll do the merge right away. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right.
For today.
Bye.
Thank
Have a
you.
great week.
Bye bye.